Bella, welcome to Bella Uncinetto. I'm Christina and I'm so glad you're here with me today. If you're new, welcome in. If you're returning, welcome back. No matter how long you've been here, I always appreciate your time. My knee hit my desk and it wiggled all the things at the top and I was like, oh, is anything gonna fall on me? So that was that moment of panic you saw on my face is what's gonna fall? Because sometimes it could be an earthquake, sometimes it could be my knee, sometimes it could be a volcanic eruption. I really don't know. I'm not saying that. I mean, I am saying it in a joking way, but also I'm not because those things happen here. So I never know. But it was in fact my knee this time. Okay, so aside from all of that, I am here today to share a book with you that I've had for a little while. I got this as a gift from Kay, who does not have a channel, but she is a great supporter to many channels, and she is an absolutely amazing friend to me. I am grateful for her on so many levels. Uh, she's just, she's an amazing woman, in my opinion. So, if you ever have the chance to get to know her as a human being, please do. She's absolutely wonderful. So I'm going to share this book with you that she gave me. And I have followed this designer for a little while, but I've never made anything from them. So, I mean, I figure now is a good time, as good of a time as any to start looking a little bit deeper, right? So this is Dark and Dramatic Mosaic Crochet by Alexis Sixel, creator of Sixel Designs. Design, not designs. So these are some really cool mosaic patterns. And while I'm not super in love with everything in here, some of the stuff in here is really cool. I had a quick flip through it when I opened it. I did open it on the channel. But this is a master guide to overlay color work with 15 modern goth and alternative patterns. So I am currently doing 2 overlay mosaic projects. One is the fairy dust, which in April I did put some work in, so I'm excited for that. And then I'm in chapter 7 still of the Stag and the Serpent, but that one is kind of a blend of overlay um, and like tapestry-esque mosaic because you carry the yarn back and forth. You don't like go and clip and go and clip, but the idea of the stitches overlaying one another as you do them is in both of the projects that I'm working on. So I feel kind of comfortable, not completely comfortable, with overlay mosaic. And this year also is the year of the mosaic from the Happy Mail Advent project by Antoinette over at Hook and Stitch and Island Style. So lots of mosaic happening in 2026 for me. And I am excited to take a look through this book with you and see what it's all about. Now, this is a book look, so the patterns in here are copyrighted. I'm not going to be showing you patterns. I'm not going to be showing you anything specific with regards to what they work up like as far as like the counts and all of that. But I'm happy to show you pictures. This is my book. I do own it. It was given to me as a gift. So I will share with you how the book is laid out, because even though I have done this numerous times now as a segment on my channel, so many designers lay out their books differently. They have different ways that they give tips. They have different ways that they do suggestions. Sometimes they don't put certain things in their books, right? So it is definitely still interesting to me to look through these books. And I do hope that I inspire you to put this in your wanted list if you can't purchase it, or to look into some projects like this, even if these specific patterns aren't things that you're interested in. Looking at how to do overlay mosaic, if that's something that you're interested in and you've never done it, maybe this will inspire you to do it. Because honestly, almost all of the overlay mosaic patterns that I have encountered thus far, chains, slip stitch, single crochet, double crochet, front loop, back loop, in some variation. Like, I mean, there may be an odd treble drop down here and there depending on the pattern, but and those are US terms, right? Those are not, there's not a British double or anything like that, but it is, if you can do those things and you can read the pattern or a chart depending on what it is, you can do it. Okay? So, this is the table of contents. It says getting started. You have basic stitches and things, gauge, blocking, and then there's some projects, and then special stitches that she has in her pattern, so she's sharing them with you. All right, so that is the table of contents. There's an introduction. Yeah, so this says exactly, well, not exactly, but basically what I said about single crochet, double crochet, working over top of each other, front loop, back loop, that kind of thing. So she does talk about charts and how to read them. So it is interesting to see that that is a weakness of mine, is charts. So there's that. She does talk about doing borders and reading the charts, so forth and so on. How to do things in the round, because there are a couple of, like this plant holder is in the round. Tassels, gauge, blocking. Okay, so this is the section called quick projects, and this is what you have. Some of these look really, really cool. When I get to the Label My Library and I have to pick 3, it's going to be hard. So this is the Tea House mug rug. So essentially a coaster, but it's just a different name for a coaster. But it's a geometric pattern that is super, super pretty. Right? And think of all the cool colors that you could do this in. If like these dark and moody colors aren't really your vibe, you could definitely do them in any pattern that brings you joy, right? Any color palette that brings you joy. I have a friend who we've been working, like my friends help me in my house, we've been working in her house, and she has this big box called Color Cube, and it has all of these cards in it for like palette inspiration, because she does pottery and painting and a lot of crafts. She's the one that I've done like the resin and the decoupage and all that with. But those color cubes look pretty cool. I might see if I can borrow them at some point. Not now. Not now. But I would like to get an idea of like color palettes in things with the yarn that I have, because we all have specific types of things that we like, right? But this is called the Dripping Can Cozy. So okay, cool. She does. Oh, you know what? I did not even pay attention. There is difficulty ratings here. So easy, medium, or hard ratings there. I did not even notice that on the one. So for some of these projects, she does say what yarn she would recommend, just because, especially things like kitchen items, and I don't mean like just dish towels, but anything that you're going to use under a cup or anything like that to absorb moisture. Acrylic yarns will wick that away. Wool yarns, they will absorb it, but they'll become real heavy. Whereas a cotton yarn will absorb it, but then it'll dry pretty quickly, right? Depending on the level of moisture, of course. So these are the cans. I can show you like that because there's other information on the other side. Because it starts with the rounds. Those are cool. It kind of reminds me of, I'm going to date myself, but growing up, it kind of reminds me of Surge. I mean, Mountain Dew too, but Surge specifically because the cans were like this insane green color, right? This is the Heartbreaker Zip Pouch. Zippers are also something I'm not super comfortable with. Okay, so this one is an intermediate in difficulty. But the note that she has on here is that this would be cool for doing different textures, different kinds of yarn. So working different textures in. So doing the, there's a chart here, so I'm just going to cover that up. Doing the hearts in one kind of yarn and then the back in a different one. So that's really cool. I like that. I have some kids that I know who would be really interested in that. There's a stitch key for the chart, which is nice. Wrought iron headbands and belts. So these are these right here. This is a really good picture. The scroll pattern. Those right there. Those are really cool. I don't know that I'd make a belt, but I would make a headband. That'd be cool. Oh, that's so pretty. I can't show you because it's like the whole pattern on the page. I can't cover that up, but it's on a hat. So like a sun hat. That's pretty. That's a really nice picture showing it as a belt. It's cute. With a little ring tied on there. Okay, and then these are wearable accessories. Sorry, my hand was in the way. This was the one over here. That was by the table of contents. A chain link bag. That's pretty cool. The fishnet scarf. That was the one that my hand was covering up. This kind of reminds me of the cardigan that I'm working on right now. It's a mermaid cardigan. It's not the same, but it kind of reminds me of it, right? So that's pretty cool. And then this is the messenger bag. So it does give you suggestions on how to change the color and how much yarn you'll need if you want to change the color. Because she just did this one in a different color. But she said if you wanted to do them all in different colors, how much yarn you would need per color for the different chains. I think that's really cool. And there are so many, like you hear that flipping, flopping noise. That's the pages hitting my other hand. There are so many pages for most of these designs, and that's a really good thing, especially if you are not someone who trusts themselves really with crochet projects like this, so that you can look and be like, okay, does this look mostly like the picture, right? Does it, or did I screw this up entirely, right? So having lots of pictures to go along with what you're doing is so helpful. Like in the fairy dust and the stag and the serpent, all along the way, there's like pictures to say, okay, this is what this section should look like. When you're done with this row, this is what it should look like. Now, these aren't that detailed, but there are a lot of pictures to show you placement for very specific things, problems that maybe pattern testers ran into, and they wanted to make sure they noted it in the book, those kinds of things. Because as a pattern tester, I can tell you that the designers really, really enjoy feedback of like, if enough people say that this is a problem, either they change it in the pattern or they make a note in the pattern that this is where somewhere where you might struggle, because so many people had trouble reading it this way or whatever. So they'll put in helpful tips and things like that. So I really enjoy having that level of information, because it reaches a wider audience. So this is a poison skull cap. Okay. And it comes in kids, which would be a small, and then an adult medium and adult large, and it gives you all of the sizes, like circumference of your head and whatnot. So those are cool. Like, look at this level of detail in the pictures. That's what I'm talking about. It's like it gives you this significant breakdown, which is really, really nice. Spine arm warmers. Now these, I really like these. Really like them. They are also on the front cover here. They're so cool. I am a little bit worried though, because I have made arm warmers a couple of times, and some of them were supposed to be for me, but they ended up being too small, even though I kept trying them on. Ooh, they look so cool in purple too. I can't show you because it's part of the pattern, but they look really cool in purple. But I ended up having to give them to my daughter because they were too small for me. So this is the Stellar shawl, and this is an advanced pattern. So definitely all these stars. And depending on how good you are with these patterns and these charts, you could take some of these out if you wanted to make a specific pattern in the shawl itself. I do not have the confidence to do that yet. Maybe one day. But you could at some point do a modification and say, like, I don't want this many stars. I want to do it this way, or I want just the cluster in the middle. So what would that look like? Right? That'd be kind of cool. All right, and this is home decor. So this is where some of that working in the round would come in. Right? Super cool stuff in here. The wall hanging, that's the first one. I like this. It's the quatrefoil or clover design pattern, but I've seen this in so many, and it says this in here that it's inspired by like old architecture and things, but I cannot tell you the number of times I've seen this in churches and old castles, and it's just stunning every time. And with this blue yarn or any other sort of variegated yarn, every one of those would look so different, but still cohesive because it's from the same cake or skein or whatever of yarn, right? So it's really cool. Oh, that one looks cool too. So like this is another colorway, but look at that. That's so beautiful. So pretty. The bolster pillow, so it's like a neck roll pillow, skulls and stripes. It says it's an intermediate difficulty. I'm gonna, because there's a chart right there. That reminds me of The Punisher growing up, right? And then this is the plant holder that was here on the front. So there's multiple sizes. You have the small and the large. But even on her pictures, you can use different things. Like increments to make a different size. And it tells you what kind of pots they'll fit with the dimensions that you're given. But what I like about this is she also has them around like candles and jars and things like that. So if you wanted to, let's say, not that I would on this one in particular, but let's say I wanted something like this. Like if I had it was just glass, right? And I wanted to cover it. I maybe would even only want to cover it part way. You could crochet one of these plant holders and use it even that way, right? You could just do it up to a certain spot as some sort of, decor feature, and then you would have it whatever level you wanted, right? But I think that would be cool too. Like, because that's what some of the pictures she has in there around like candles and other jars. And so this is the throw pillow. She calls it the Victorian pillow. That is a beautiful pattern. I love, absolutely love, like paisley prints in the damask style prints. Look at that. So pretty. There's another picture right here on the front of the book. This one. That is just, oh, and that red really makes it pop too. But just imagine all of the colors that you could use, right? Again, it doesn't have to be the dark and moody colors that are in this book. You could get this book and use your own color palette. That's the beauty of fiber arts, whether it's knitting, crocheting, weaving. It doesn't matter if you follow the pattern and you pick the colors that you want. It's still beautiful, right? Still makes your heart happy. On Fire Table Runner. Is there a picture of that one? No. Okay, so this is a really nice picture, but I've got to cover up these charts. That's a really good picture. And then she talks about the fringe and the tassels on the end, how to do all of that. A sun and moon pillow. That's really cool. And again, imagine doing that with like, you could, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could change color and do like a yellow for part of it and then pick up like a silvery color for the moon or something like that. I mean, the idea is that you don't change your yarn like that, but you could if you really wanted to. Lots of charts on this one. And then, okay, so that was the last of the patterns, and now you're getting into the special stitches. So this is like, that will create curves, angles, points, that kind of thing. But I don't think any of these are None of these are overly complicated, and they are um, double crochet, single crochets, but in a sequence, right? So you have to do just like any pattern. You have to do it the way the pattern says, and you get the same results as the person who wrote the pattern. But what I like is in here, she gave you not only like pictures of the stitch, but also what it looks like in the chart. So when the chart says do this, this is what that means if you need to come and look at this part of the book, which I would for some of these because charts are not my friend. Not to say that I can't do them, but I do struggle with them. I'm not strong with them. So it's helpful to have this for sure. All right, and then there's some information about the author, a really nice index at the end. So that is the book look for Dark and Dramatic Mosaic Crochet. Be on the lookout for a Label My Library at some point. I don't know when it's going to come, but should be here eventually. But if there's anything that you liked, put it in the comments below. Is there anything in here that you thought, I would love to do that? I know just the yarn, but it's not one of the moody colors that's here. Or I absolutely love this book. It's going to go in my cart right now. Maybe you can't get it right now, but you can make a wish list, right? And I think, honestly, that's how Kay found this book for me, is I do have an Amazon wish list. I was asked to make it a while ago for a Secret Santa thing, and it's helpful, especially living here now, that people want to surprise me for my birthday because they can just buy it and my address is in there. You can't see my address, but it's in there. So if you buy something, it just comes to me and I'm like, oh, what's this package, right? So you don't have to be like, hey, there's a package coming because I need your address. No, you could just send it to me. Not you. I'm not asking for things. I'm just saying you can create your own wish list to have so that when someone says, hey, what kind of things do you like? You can be like, hey, I have this cool wish list of things that I'm really, really in love with. I can send that to you, give you some ideas. Buy something off the list if you want. Buy something like what's on the list if you want, you know? But I do that a lot, especially, like I said, being overseas now because it does take a while for things to get to me. And being away from people, you tend to not really remember things that they love if you're not around them all the time. So I do get questions like that sometimes from people. It's like, what would you want? What do you like? What da da da. Send them the wish list, right? So let me know what you think in the comments below. I would love to hear it, and I'm excited to share this with you. I'm excited to do the Label My Library at some point, and maybe make a decision on something that I want to make soon. But until I see you again, be well, be safe, and be the change you wish to see in the world, everyone. Ciao bella!